When you start your business, no one ever prepares you for what's in store. So, finding someone else who just gets it is sometimes the thing that can keep you pushing toward that big business goal.
We're turning our Zoom coffee chats into a weekly, unfiltered podcast for online business owners. They were so good, we always wanted to record them and repurpose them for content, anyways. And that's on being a social media manager.
I'm Jessica Sheehy.
And I'm Madeleine Digan, and this is
#managed. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of #managed. Hey Madeleine, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. I'm excited to catch you up with my weekend and hear all about yours.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I know last weekend, you told us that farmers market and all of those things. So were you guys able to do that this weekend?
Yes, and I was so excited. You know how I told you about the roadie? And it was funny
Mhm.
because I was telling Brennan about it as well as the friends who we went with, and all of them were like, "Oh, like a roadie, what you also thought was a roadie." And I was
Mhm.
like, "No, no, no, like these are like the best like breakfast type burrito, whatever you want to call it." We get there and the tent wasn't there this weekend, and I was like, but nonetheless, it was still good. It was still good. I got my fresh strawberries, I got flowers, and then I got purple potatoes or yeah, purple potatoes, which if you're aware of like the Blue Zone, um, Netflix, I think it was Netflix. I forget what
Yeah.
series
Yep.
where it was on or what it was on, but I think I'm gonna make those tonight. I don't know how. I need to go to Pinterest to look up some
I actually have
Wha
a recipe for you.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
send it to
So I will
me.
send it
Oh,
over because Ryan and I are obsessed with the purple potatoes, and I think we've been literally eating them every week. Like, it is now in our, like, recurring, like, grocery store pickup, and I remember the other day we were at the store, we were at Whole Foods, and Ryan's like, "I can't find the purple potatoes," and then it was literally, like, right in front of him. I'm like, "It's here in this, like, little
okay.
con." But no, I've been making them in this recipe super, like, easy to like, I'll send it over, but it's, like, a roasted, like, dice them up, like, a really easy, like, olive oil, like, salt, pepper, like, turmeric, like, I don't know, it's really good, and there's
Ooh.
so with any, like, Pinterest recipe, there's so many, like, substitutions and things, you know? Don't you love when you can, like, read a whole book before you get to the
Oh,
actual
yeah.
recipe? But
Yes.
I do like actually reading that. Sometimes it's very random, I get it, why they're doing that, but sometimes they actually share really helpful things, like, if you need to substitute, because sometimes I just don't have these things
Mhm.
in my pantry, so I actually like it for that sense, but,
Okay,
um
I'm excited. I'm excited, and it's funny because Brennan has a few of favorite, like, food bloggers because I think I've shared with you guys that he is mainly the chef of our family.
Mhm.
But when he's pulling up, he'll be like, "Oh my," he'll get so mad at how many ads, and I'm like, "I get it," like and he's like, "I get it too, like, this is, like, how they're also making money," but at the same time where I'm like, "Just get me to the point." And I also love and appreciate when a Pinterest pin has, like, the ingredients literally in the description so that when I'm at the grocery store, I can just click the pin, read the
Mhm.
ingredients, and then when I get home, I
Yeah,
can then go
yeah.
and make it. So if there's any foodie bloggers who are listening to this or chefs,
Mhm.
I don't know, that's just like a little note for you guys. Please make your Pinterest pins that way because I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that way you know, like, what to, like, buy, and you can go through the whole blog post and ads when you're cooking the actual recipe later that day. So I love that.
Mhm.
Well, bummed about the roadie, but maybe it'll be back in, in the future,
Yeah.
and you just have to go. You'll have to have another farmer's market weekend.
Yes, yes, and then I'm trying to think what else I did this weekend. I feel like that was I made content for myself for once.
Ooh.
Like, that was, like, fun. That
Mhm.
was we're gonna lean into that more, I think, because it was one of those like, I spent probably way too much time on it than I should have, but then at the same time, like, who's to judge? But no, it was fun. It was just fun to showcase that, like, my personal life, which
Mhm.
I feel like I I try and do a good part of, but at the same time, I know
Yeah.
I could be better at it.
Mhm.
So, anyways, how was your weekend?
It was good. We ended up going on Saturday and kind of had like a little day, which turned out to be a whole day because there was some crazy like construction by, if you know, you know, like our interstate by where we live was completely shut down for a couple of days, which is actually really major. But you know, shout out to the construction crews who fixed it in, like, 72 hours. It made me think, like, wow, you can actually do construction really quickly. It
Mm.
doesn't need to take years and years and years. But we ended up doing, like, a little day trip. We went to 2 different towns, like, very, like, New England coastal-y towns here in Connecticut. So we went to Niantic, which was really small but great. Like, we went to an Italian bakery, got breakfast, and I love, like, a bakery/deli, um, but I love an Italian bakery/deli.
Mm.
Like, before the pandemic, Ryan and I actually lived in Hoboken, New Jersey, which is right across the Hudson River from New York City, so there were Italian bakery and delis and pizza places and just on every corner, and I miss that so much because we didn't have that in Florida. But anyway, we went to a really good spot there. There was a record store that I don't know if I shared it on here, but Ryan and I are actually, like, really into records these days. I got him a record player for Christmas, and it's, like, now, like, we have, like, you know, bookstores in the queue when
Yeah.
you go to, like, a new town, like, n it's also record stores as well. And so we, like I personally like to go, like, digging through, like, the discount bins, and I don't know how I just made that thumbs up, like, appear brain, but okay, we'll run with it. And, anyway, it's just fun to kind of go through and, like, see different albums, and I love so many different genres of music, so I feel like we're starting to really build, like, a library of very random things, but eventually it'll be a great library and, you know, we'll be able to pull it out from that. I think records are really fun, but I am definitely, like, a millennial who loves her Spotify. Like,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, but I like both, you know, I think there's a time and place for both. So, yeah, it's just anyway, cool New England town, and then the second we went to is Mystic, which is a little bit of a bigger, town, if you guys are familiar with, like, Mystic Pizza and that whole, like, movie, and that's what the town is,
Oh
and
my
so
gosh, yes!
yes.
Oh my gosh, wait, I love that movie.
Yes, yeah, so
I
that's
love
yeah,
that movie.
so that's the town, and, yeah, that town was really cool, and it was very dog friendly, so we'll have to go back. I didn't realize, like, how dog friendly it was because not every, like,
Mhm.
touristy travel destination is great for dogs, so, you know, we, like, didn't bring Winston with us, but we'll definitely have to go back, and I would say probably the highlight of the, like, little town and the day trip was just the really good seafood that we had for lunch. Like, New England seafood is my favorite, so I'll say New England seafood, and I'll also have to say, like, I'm sorry, I'm a Floridian, I know, but, like, Charleston seafood is, like, probably my number 2 because I really like, you know, blue crab and anyway, not as, like,
Yeah.
completely shifting, hashtag managed to be, like, a food podcast this week, but this is where we're at.
Hey, I I love food content. Like, I also like, again, where it's like I have thought about having my own foodie account, like back in high school. Back in high school, because so one thing you all should know about me too is I love cupcakes. Like, cupcakes are probably like hands down my favorite dessert.
Mhm.
And like I went to college in Chicago where there's so many good cupcake shops, like sugar, like OG, not sugar, what am I thinking of? Sprinkles.
Oh, sprinkles.
Sprinkles, like we had the ATM, and you
Mhm.
already know broke college Maddie was like they would on their Instagram have a code word of the day, and, like, I
Mhm.
forget sometimes it'd be free, sometimes it'd be, like, $1 or so off, but, like, so
Mhm.
smart.
Yeah.
Um, but I think again with the my little florist truck that I'll have one day, I'll also have, like, maybe a cupcake shop.
Mhm.
That'd be fun.
Oh, I
That'd be
love that.
fun.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. No, cupcakes are so good. I love sprinkles. I love Candace Nelson. If you guys know, like, her story, I feel like all of you listening need to go, like, follow her on TikTok. She's a great
Mhm.
TikTok presence. She has a pretty, like, cool book too, and also she also has a pizza spot. I forget the name of it. Um, It'll probably come to me at a very random time,
She's
but
she's also the host, or not a host, she's a judge on this Netflix show that my mom and I love called Sugar Rush? Yeah, Sugar Rush.
oh,
We
yeah.
like, seriously, like, my mom that is I introduced my mom to that, and she's just like, because my mom's also a baker, and I always my sister and I always joke that she needs to go on one of these shows, like, maybe one
Mhm.
of these days we will just submit our
Yeah,
mom, and she'll
just
be like
enter her,
my
yeah.
mom would take it so seriously, even though it'd be like, "Mom, it's literally, like, for
We have, like,
funsies,"
the
like
best contestants though, you know, like
that's what I'm saying, like, I'm like, "Mom, you would win them over," but, like, it'd be funny because 'cause you'd be like I can just picture my mom, like, she would be, like, cussing under her breath and, like, getting so frazzled, and, like,
Mhm.
knowing my sister, she'd be like, "You're gonna be mom's content," like, and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, let's just bring back all of, like, our childhood trauma," like, of,
Right.
like, "Oh, don't touch, don't lick."
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. But yeah, no, I love that. That show is so good. And, yeah, Candace Nelson is an awesome entrepreneur. Was she a guest shark on Shark Tank as well? I feel like she was, maybe.
I feel like she was, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd want her investing in me, like, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, could you imagine that, like, mentorship from her? And also, like, how do we get, like, lifetime supply of
I just
sprinkles?
think like, she's, like, one of those people who okay, like, can we let's put it out there, we want Candace also on the podcast because like, feel like she also just, like, so down to earth, like, and I feel like on a lot of podcasts I've been listening to, and just in general, a lot of buzz that I've been hearing on the internet is, like, people talking about you don't wanna necessarily meet your heroes because
Mhm.
when you do, like, it might
Yeah.
not add up. And I get that because yeah, I get that, but I still wanna meet Taylor Swift. Like, I would be very chill about it, though. Like, again, I'm not going to seek her.
Mhm.
It'd be, like, so casual. But
Yeah.
but Candace, I just again, I feel like she's very down to earth, very humble, where
Mhm.
could be
Agree.
fun. Could be
Yeah,
fun.
I agree. Yeah. No, I know. I feel like that is yeah, it would be cool to I feel like just always go into any scenario like that, which obviously I feel like if any of us were to meet any one of our heroes or anyone that we know, it probably would happen by chance. Like it would
Yeah.
just like
Oh, and we
yeah.
then we're obviously gonna come and share it with all of you. Like, obviously, I'm
Mhm.
going to spill all that tea.
Yeah.
When it happens.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Also, before we hit record on this podcast, we had our planning meeting, and I realized that I watched a lot of like television over the weekend, which is really out of character for me. So clearly, I did no reading, but it's fine. You have off weeks, but um, I
Tell us what you watched.
okay, so I watched a couple of things. I just feel like I have to tell the whole list because you guys need
Yeah.
a sense of like where my weekend was. So I started off with The Idea of You, which Madeline recommended to us. She's reading the book. And I
Mhm.
felt like the movie came out so quickly. I felt like it was when we talked about it, I'm like, wow, it's like in the far distance, but then here it is. So I really liked it actually. It has Anne Hathaway in it. Rumored to be like Harry Styles fan fiction. That's all I'll share here. I don't want to give it away if you guys want to read the book and or watch it. But I actually really liked it. I thought it was a really good movie. I'll have to say too, I'm so embarrassed, but also not embarrassed to admit, I really like the soundtrack. And I don't
Oh,
know
I
what
know, I love oh, you telling me that, that gets me excited because I
I
love a good
I am
I'm a millennial, like, I like the Lizzie McGuire movie,
yeah,
Shrek, like, oh, are you kidding me? Like, there's soundtracks that I'm like,
I
"Yeah."
I am in not that I've left, but I am really in my soundtrack era because a few weeks ago we watched Anyone But You, also a great movie if you haven't seen it.
My
And
mom told me about that one.
yeah, that movie so good on Netflix. I feel like everything I'm recommending is well, Idea of You is on Prime Video, but Anyway,
Oh, wait,
um
I watch anybody okay, yeah, sorry,
yeah.
continue.
Yeah, so anyway, great soundtracks. I'm getting sidetracked because that is not even a movie I watched this weekend. So we watched that movie. We watched Unfrosted, which I thought was a really good movie as well. So many big people in it, like Jerry Seinfeld is, kind of the main person they're following around. It's around Kellogg's launching Pop-Tarts, and it's kind of the whole story because you don't even know it's like Pop-Tarts, but we all know what Pop-Tarts are. But and then it's Post, which is their like biggest rival at the time, and it's just a really cool, kind of fun, like quirky movie into the Kellogg's versus Post empire. And, it takes place, I believe it's the 60s, 1960s,
Mm.
or early 1970s. And I don't know, I love movies like that. They feel nostalgic. I don't know why, because I'm a millennial, but I really like that. Mad Men made an appearance. If you love anything advertising or if you just love Mad Men in general, then you know what they're in there to do. They're in there to pitch their ideas. And it was just such a fun like cameo for them to be in there. And I thought it was good. I heard a lot of like bad reviews about it. Even Ryan shared like he heard some bad reviews, but I thought it was cute. It was a good movie. Like I love the marketing behind it. Like, love that. I think she has a book, but the Amy Schumer is in it, and she plays Marjorie Post, who's the CEO of Post, the other competitor to Kellogg. And she apparently inherited like the Post empire. And CEO in the 1960s woman, like I need to read this book. Like I feel like
Mhm.
it has, so I'm going to try to like track it down and I can recommend it, but I definitely want to add that on my list probably since this is so top of mind. And oh, yeah.
Speaking of lists, though, book lists, in this week's so in last week's newsletter that you would have received in your inbox, we ask for a book recommendation for us to create the ultimate summer reading list.
Mhm.
And listen, we have like 4,000 plus subscribers on that list. I have to believe there are 26,000 of you listening to this right now. I have to like, come on, just stroke my ego a little bit. Where if we don't get one book recommendation, I'm be upset at you all.
Mhm.
Not
Yeah.
really, but just one.
Yeah.
Look,
And
this is a community, let's share it. Let's share it. Let's show Google. That should be a collective group goal that like hashtag manage creates this blog post that like everybody wants to download for their summer reading list.
mhm. Yeah. I love that. Okay, so we need more recs, guys. Please send us more recs. Send it to at hashtag managed on Instagram. Reply to the emails. Go back in your inbox. Open it up, look and see what you can recommend. We recommend so many books. I just recommended a book about Marjorie Post, and I don't even know specifically her story, so I hope I'm not steering anyone down the wrong, like,
I'll look it up.
but, there's so many books that we love to read and will read, and I know our community too probably has different books that they love, so, yeah, that was good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I watched. I watched 55 minutes of the 3-hour Tom Brady roast, which is very random and not on brand for this podcast. I don't know. I don't think I would recommend. I feel like if you guys look it up on TikTok, you can get the best jokes there. That's my opinion. I guess technically Monday I can end up the weekend. Of course, watch the Met Gala.
Mhm.
Had to know what was happening in the fashion world, and I wanted to be able to understand every meme that would come about on Monday night. So had to watch that. But Madeline, what were your like initial thoughts on the Met Gala?
My initial thoughts, I kind of shared this in our pre-planning meeting, but this I don't know, just something about this Met Gala, I was kinda underwhelmed, but also a little disappointed in the media coverage via, like, E! News, which is funny coming from a social media manager where it's like, I really do think that they wanted us to consume the Met via TikTok and via Instagram, like, all these live honestly, just through social media, because if you think I feel like the Met knows too that every year there is going to be memeable moments and just everybody's going to pretend they are a fashion expert, you know?
Mhm.
And I my favorite look was what was her name we said? Tyla? Ty
Tyla. Yeah, Tyla.
Tyla, like the sands of times, I think is what the articles were saying. I personally was like, "Oh, I get it because it's Sleeping Beauty. She's like the Sandman slash woman."
Mhm.
And then that came out. I was like, "Oh, and that." But like everything about her look to me was iconic.
Mhm.
Where the makeup, okay, because obviously the beauty.
Yeah.
Can I just say I'm a beauty editor? We're just gonna go with I'm a beauty editor now. I'm not, but that is my niche.
It's 2024. I feel like
Yeah,
we can definitely yeah,
for
you're good.
sure. Like, who knows? Vogue, hit me up. Hit me up
Right.
if you want my opinion.
Anna Wintour, if you're listening.
Yeah. Which her outfit, even like the florals, I was like, you were asking for people to be like florals, groundbreaking.
Right, right.
You were
She
just
wrote the
asking for
meme.
that.
She's like,
Yeah.
"I yeah, I just
Yeah.
made a meme for you guys already."
Yes. Yes. She controlled her narrative.
Mhm.
But the makeup look, so Tyla, though, just like the sand that was like on her arms, like just everything about it was stunning to me. And something else that I've started to pay attention to with the Met that I think it's underrated are the nails. Like I follow so many nail techs that like cuz oh my gosh. Okay, I know her look was kind people were like, "But she always does this look." But Sarah Jessica Parker, she is forever my fashion icon queen, like, I am a Sex and the City girly pop, like, my Aunt Kay introduced me to Sex and the City probably when I was a little too young, but it's fine. Like, it's fine.
I
It
feel
builds
like,
character.
honestly, though, didn't we all start watching Sex and the City
Yeah.
when we definitely were not even yeah, supposed to?
My high school graduation gift from her was the complete set of DVDs, and it's, like, in this beautiful,
Oh, that's so fun.
like, package, and so I just laugh though because I love that it's on Netflix now,
Mhm.
but something about like, pulling that out, putting the disc in, it's the nostalgia,
Millennium 4,
but
Millennium 4.
yes, but Sarah Jessica Parker, her hair, like, again, her dress was it was nothing new, but her hair just, like, like, instantly was texting Kimber, like, my hairstylist, if you guys have not been aware, but we both were like, "Oh my gosh," like, it was just stunning, and then
Mhm,
her nails were like a chrome,
mhm.
and just I just think she's also aging so beautifully too, where it's just I'm ugh.
Yeah, yeah.
Stunning, and then if we're speaking of this will be my last one, but speaking of aging, we already know Pamela Anderson also,
Oh,
like, we're besties ever since she
mhm.
liked my Instagram
I'm not gonna
story.
lie, when I saw her walk the steps, I was like, "That's Madeline's friend."
Yep, mhm,
I, like,
mhm.
instantly, like, remembered that I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's Madeline's friend right there."
Yeah, it's bestie, but no, like, she's just, everything about Pamela Anderson, like, I'll put this in our newsletter too. I actually posted about this last week on my stories, um, looking for good newsletters to just good
Yeah.
newsletters in general to subscribe to, and one I actually didn't share that I'm subscribed to, I need to share that. But Pamela Anderson, she writes it, it comes out every
Mhm.
Monday, and she just, like, writes these little, like, journal prompts, and just she's just
Oh, I love
I my obsession with her started with first of all, I just the Playboy history too, like, I think it's fascinating, but
mhm,
then when her memoir came out, like, that just it skyrocketed it for me,
mhm.
and just yeah, now I'm just obsessed with her.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. No, it's so good, and I think you brought up such a good point around, like, of course, with the Met, everyone's thinking about the fashion and what they're wearing. And I've been, of course, like every boutique or fashion subscription company that I've ever bought from or subscribed to is sending out their emails with their inspiration to the theme, which I
Mhm, mhm.
love. Like, if they have anything that like fits the like close. I saw I can't remember who it was, but they had a dress that was so close to like Sabrina Carpenter's dress, which was just kind of like really fun. I think they spin it as like wedding guests dress season, dress like you're going to the Met, which I think is so fun. But I think like, if you're in the beauty industry, like, if you're hair, nails, glam, makeup, like, have fun with it. Like, this is the time these are one of the rare, like, pop culture moments that I think you get served on a silver platter such great content. Like, we talk about so many ideas every single week here, but, like, have fun with this. Like, if you see, like, celebrities, like, trying new things, like, and you wanna try that with clients, or, I don't know, just let people know that you can expand into that and have that creativity. I don't know, I think the Met gives you some really fun content with how you can kind of take that, and yes, some things are super over the top, but, like, to Madeline's point, like, chrome nails, a couple of
Mm,
people were donning the wet hair look, like, there's so
so
many
good.
ways that you can, like, recreate that for, like, everyday life.
And it's funny because seriously, I follow how many beauty professionals, and I'm not gonna lie to you, like, I don't know if it's I haven't been I would say I've been pretty active these past couple of days, but, like, something I would love to see, so any beauty professionals listening to this, take it, run with it, make it your own, because last week we talked about originality, but
Mhm,
nobody like, I feel like in the beauty industry, honestly, majority of the time, clients are into certain types of pop culture. Granted, it can be like I feel like the best way to maybe explain this is the Swifties and then, like, the John Mayer. Like, and when I say that, I mean, like, seriously, like, Swifties are going to outwardly say it, and so do fans of John Mayer, but, like, would you disagree? Like, John Mayer type fans, like, they're more like they're indie. They're more like,
mhm,
"Meh," like, whatever.
mhm,
They're not going to, like, buy the swag, buy everything that shouts, "I'm
mhm.
a John Mayer fan."
Right,
That's
right.
just not that's just not the aesthetic.
Mhm,
And so where I'm going with that is, like, so maybe that's your type of salon, maybe that's your type of clientele, but talking about those glam squats, okay, I just got really excited because Chase Stokes was obviously we all if
oh,
you don't know okay,
how
so
did we not
hey
talk about that? Yeah.
okay, so for instance, Chase Stokes, which is like even my husband knows he's the love of my life. Not really. Brendan is the love of my life. But obviously he's close. Like I'm just like, I love you. And I love Kelsey Ballerini too.
Mhm,
But Chase Stokes has he's been working with Armani Beauty. And again, the whole men in the beauty industry is slowly coming to the horizon where I've
mhm,
seen a few real series of they were interviewing him. He's like, "Yeah, like I like concealer because it does like, make me feel confident." Like,
mhm,
but he's talked about how obviously he's a millennial. He like grew up where it's like, for the longest time though, like, oh, like that was so uncool. That was like you're too feminine, like, you
mhm.
know.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, to my point is I wish I would see more beauty professionals, whether it's hairstylists, makeup artists, nail techs, talking about even said favorite celebrities, makeup artists, and like talking about it from that angle where it's like you don't necessarily have to be like, how to achieve this look? Because I feel like that from what I've heard from clients, it's like they hold back because it's like they feel like everybody does that, which is true, but again, where I can promise you, like, if Kimber were to do that, I'm gonna eat it up. I'm gonna eat it up
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
I want to hear her point because
right.
she is my hair expert. She is
Yeah.
my hair influencer. And so yeah, I just feel like again where we were talking about this before hitting record too, and just how the men in the beauty industry, like salons are missing the mark with that, where it's like men still like to have like a scalp massage. Um, they're getting
Mhm.
more into facial. So I don't know, just an interesting take. But
Yeah.
also honestly, his look was one of my favorite, and so was David Levy. Right? Is that his name? From Schitt's
Ooh, from
Creek?
Schitt's Creek? Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love because again,
Yeah,
it was
he was
so funny how,
so
like,
good.
everybody, like, oh, majority of the men were just wearing, like, basic, but
Mhm,
no, Chase showed up in sequins without a
mhm.
shirt on, and I was just like, "Oh, okay."
No, yeah,
Guess if
no,
that
they both had great looks, and honestly, probably top 2 of the men, because that's honestly all I can really remember. Everyone
Yeah.
else was pretty, like, I remember, like, I think Wade wore like a purple suit jacket, but I think it was just
Mm.
a suit jacket. And I mean, look,
Usher's was another one that I
Usher,
was like, you were, because he, like, had this cape thing, and I was like,
oh yeah, yeah,
it's
very,
also Usher.
very Usher. Yeah, very Usher. Oh, I guess Bad Bunny too. Like, and he had
Mm,
like DJ.
mhm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think a couple of guys definitely showed up, but yeah, no, I agree. I think definitely a fun night. I think a lot of like great content can come from it, and yeah, I think to Madeline's point, like even if you feel like everyone is sharing that content, like I don't. I think a part of that is like okay, like it works. Like people like it. They consume that content. And then like what we talked about last week, like how do you put your original spin on it? How do you make it yours? Like and it can be ideas that are inspired from other creators and we can certainly give that credit where credit's due, but definitely give your spin on how you would do it for your clients or customers.
And I'll say one last thing before we move on to the water cooler, but even when this episode comes out next week, like, I still think the Met is going to be relevant because I
Mhm.
think, because a lot of time maybe the memes not per se, I still think they'll be coming out. Watch, I'll still probably
Yeah,
post
we're
some
opposed to.
too.
We'll keep the
But
truth alive for everyone.
yeah, well, right. But with, like, again, where this, I know this is just beauty industry related, but for instance, like, so Mother's Day is this weekend, but Father's Day is coming up too. And just like in general, your summer strategy, which I think this is fitting because what we talked about last week, where just your summer strategy when it comes to engagement. But again, summer, like, these are the type of topics where doesn't matter your industry, but like people, summer's on everybody's mind, and, like, honestly, like, as a small business owner too, yes, we're about to hit, when we the second we enter Q3, like, obviously, the holidays are gonna be on our mind during the
Mhm.
summer, but at the same time, like, if you're a small business owner, entrepreneur, solopreneur, whoever you are, if you're like me too, where you're just, like, still
Mhm.
getting your own strategy together, like, just first of all, no, you're not alone, but second of all, just have that be top of mind too, and, like, make
Mhm.
it fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, great advice. Great advice. Very timely for kind of thinking about what's upcoming. And yeah. Okay, should we dive into this week's water cooler?
Yes, and I'll try not to stutter. Okay. Hey, y'all, I've just started a see, okay. And cut, okay. Hey y'all, I just signed a client and we are starting from scratch. I mean, we are setting up accounts on Instagram and TikTok that currently don't exist. Ooh, I love that for you. Does anyone have experience working from scratch? Yes. Do you recommend posting more than 3 times a week or just posting steadily and with letting that build and grow? What worked for you?
Ooh,
Oh,
this is
I like that.
exciting, and I'm so
Mhm.
excited. I think Madeline is as well, that accounts from scratch are so
Oh,
fun. Oh my gosh.
oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
like, Madeline can probably share more, like, personal on that, but, like, at hashtag managed, for the podcast, started from scratch, like, brand new account, like, it's just it's fun to start with. So I'll start really quickly and just kind of
Mhm.
share that I I know it can be intimidating to start from scratch, but especially from my experience working with clients who sometimes have accounts that have been through the ringer. And when I say that, I mean client accounts that they use it, it's a business account, but they use it as a personal, or they have bought followers in the past, or they have gone through rebrand after rebrand after rebrand that has no strategy behind it. Like there are so many like worst case scenarios that I honestly think you're in the best case scenario here for starting from scratch, being able to like build the content and the audience and the community from the ground up. And heck, it's even giving you like a great case study for like your portfolio, but also for making your case for, something we talk about here frequently, like how to show your ROI as a social media manager. So I think you're in the best case scenario here. Um, I'll say for my opinion, for how much content you should be posting a week, I'm gonna answer it by kind of not answering it, but when I
Mhm.
explain it, I feel like you guys will not be too mad at me. I don't want you to think about the number of pieces of content you're putting out per week. I This is something I shared a couple weeks ago, but when January 1, 2024 turned the clock struck midnight, I immediately pulled out the exact number of deliverables that we as social savvy will give clients. Like, we have deliverables in our package for like monthly pieces of content. It's a lot because I think we have the capacity to create a lot of content. I would rather, like, for example, I have posts scheduled for a client through May. Met Gala happens. There's some fun moments that I want to pull in. Like, I'm going to pull in. I don't want to have to push things. I want to like add on, if that makes sense. And so I think don't focus about the numbers. Let a strategy guide how many times you'll post, because the strategy will tell you what the content's going to be, what the goal of that content's going to be, who it's written for. And I think it's super crucial too, because I know we all get in different scenarios with this. It comes down to the amount of content that you have. Like, for example, I know for us on at hashtag manage, we didn't post for a while. Like, we were doing these episodes, but we didn't have the content. Yes, we had like clips from the podcast, but I mean, that's all we had, right? And we could do graphics, we could do things like that, but like we didn't have like the content we envisioned for what we wanted to post on Instagram. Obviously, a couple weeks ago, we went to Charleston, shot the content, and now we have the content to be able to go from that. But yeah, Madeline, do you have any like specific take on that, or do you want to share kind of our like approach over on that at hashtag managed account?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said, especially let the strategy guide you because, like, even for instance, right now with hashtag manage, where it's like I'm still working on the like where I love again, I get so excited when I get a new being able to start from scratch because you just my ideas are going so many ways. Like there are so many ideas coming all at once where it's like I have to remind myself, okay, hone it in, hone it in. But um a good example of this too with the strategy because I'm actually working on like I have a strategy client right now. And another reason why I think you should let the strategy help guide you is because for instance and never putting that number on it is where I'm helping her with her June content calendar, right? We're in May right now. And so as I'm like I have her whole like branding, like here's your target research, blah blah blah. And June 1st, so it's a salon too, it's a salon and spa, and June 1st is National Barefoot Day and National Nail Polish Day. And so, for instance, where it's like I thought of 2 posts where it's like grounding, where it's like that is
Mhm.
very much the wellness, and I'm like, so obviously that is a good post that they should post on June 1st, and same with nails. So, like, there are also maybe days where as you're planning, you're gonna have more than 1 post, but then some days you have just one. Again, just leading back to your strategy, your content pillars, all of that stuff. Um, but as for hashtag managed, I mean, kind of a glimpse into that ideally is, sharing clips from the this the week's episode on Monday and kind of breaking it up, honestly, how I envision it right now and the point I want to get it at is breaking it up like our newsletter. And honestly like this where it's like segments on Wednesdays where posting the water cooler, but obviously me testing out different ways where it's like maybe one week I'm going to post a clip like the clip from the water cooler, another week just like the text from the water cooler. Things like I haven't done it, but on our Taylor Swift one where it's like the one question you would ask Taylor Swift, I still need to post that because I am curious minds want to know. Like I need to know. And like
Mhm.
so that also kind of shows you where it's like I'm guilty of getting in my own way and in my head. Like I'm going to be the first to tell you guys that. Like I am. So like in the past Madeline would be like, "Oh my gosh, that episode already posted. Can't post it now." No, no, because guess what? My
Yeah.
hope is that there. where I have to believe there are new listeners each and every week
Mhm.
coming. And so, like, that's just for you guys too, where the only time where I think that goes a lot with um, the Met Gala in general too, where it's like, "Oh, is it too late?" Where it's like, "I'm gonna tell you probably in June it's gonna be a little too late," but all of
Mhm.
May, people
Yeah.
know May is Met Gala
Mhm.
season.
Yeah.
Like, and even so, yeah, I wanted to go on a tangent, but I'm stopping myself there.
No, but I think it's important to be said because I'll agree. Like old Jessica would, oh my gosh, I would beat myself up if I like
Mhm.
missed a deadline, did this, and even now, I think one thing it's maybe it's on personal growth, right? But like even for a couple of clients, I mean, it happens. Like there are times where oh my goodness, with a client, like and sometimes it's silly. You miss like a national day and it's not the end of the world that the national day has been missed. I always think sometimes you can spin it, right? Like, even if it's
Mhm.
depending on the brand, right? Like, hey, last Monday we missed National Day that literally celebrates the product we sell. Like, okay, doesn't have to be that word for word, but like have fun with it, like that
Yeah.
totally happens. And agreed on, I mean, maybe I'm biased because I think we talk about some pretty cool things in the podcast. And so I think there's a lot of things we can kind of pull from, like in future, like to give us a lot of content. Like if we ever do
Mhm.
feel like we're in a content rut, if you will, like we can definitely pull from. So no, I think definitely great tangent. Really, really awesome advice. So, yeah, I know it's always kind of fun to like get these questions and I every week we're like, "Oh, we need more. We need more. We need more." So, again, I don't, call it calling in, that's so like, millennial coded like radio show, like call into the radio show. But, you can actually call in to the hashtag hotline on hashtagmanage.com or just go in our show notes or, click the link in any of our emails. And we'd love to hear like more information because we could like geek out even more and give more
Yeah.
advice if we had more to work with. But no, I think that's a great question because we all will at some point start out either our own accounts from scratch or a client.
Oh, that actually there is one other thing I wanted to say about
Yeah.
because this I think will be a good segue to in or into the topic of today's
Mhm.
episode. But so last year I went through like the buzzing blonde went through a rebrand. And one of my strategy tactics that I did to launch, and honestly, I could have launched it way better. I that's me also being hard on myself. Like it worked the way it did.
Mhm.
And I know people have made note of it, but I went and archived all of my old posts because again, so my feed, my logo used to be um navy and yellow. And so I went and archived everything. I definitely ripped a page from Taylor Swift's book, obviously, and like poof, it all went away. But again,
Mhm.
here's one thing. If you're gonna do this, don't delete it because guess what?
Mhm.
Like Madeline, college Madeline, I don't know if archiving was a thing though in 2017 because 2017 Madeline decided to go like I this was obviously before the Buzzing Blonde, literally the year before the Buzzing Blonde. And I decided like I'm so sad. I deleted my very first Instagram post ever. Like, and I think that lives rent
Mhm.
free in my mind. I'm always like,
Yeah.
what was my very first
Mhm.
Instagram post? Like, it makes me sad. So my point being, archive it. Don't because the other thing is that when you archive it, where it's like I have a lot of posts that I can repurpose. Obviously, that did so well. I just haven't yet,
Mhm.
and just obviously with the new rebrand. So that's one thing, 'cause yeah, I do think that helps clean it up. In a way, you're not necessarily starting from scratch, but it's going to get the attention of
Mhm.
your audience being like, "Whoa, what's going on here?"
Yeah. 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 Oh,
So,
I like that. No, that's great advice, great advice. Because I know that I've seen that question before in the Facebook group where people are always asking like, "Okay, do I need to archive? Do I delete?" Definitely always archive over delete. Definitely.
mhm.
Especially now that we have that feature, and I agree. I think years and years ago, we didn't have that, which is really unfortunate because I don't know if that's just because 'cause we're millennials, but we wiped the slate clean and, how
Yeah.
they say, like, things last forever on the internet? No, they don't. Not if
No.
you're crazy and you wanna delete your Instagram feed way back when. They'll be like
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, so good, so good. Okay, so speaking of feeds, let's dive into
Yes.
what's on our feed before we go deeper into rebranding. And we have something to talk about, even though people who are already listening can see it, but we'll save that for just a second. So I really quickly want to talk about something that's on my feed that I think is so interesting, but also I want to take it, of course, as like something to learn about for how we can use this as social media managers and business owners using social media. So the story that I'm linking in is I have to just like give you the title because sometimes I just love great copywriters. So Shake
Mhm.
Shack takes a bite out of rivalry with Chick-fil-A, snags viral TikTok star. So this article is actually based on two things. So in the month of April, which has already passed us, um, Shake Shack did a promotion where every Sunday you could get a free chicken sandwich. I think there was some stipulation you had to spend $10 or something or whatnot, but you could get a free chicken sandwich, obviously taking shots at Chick-fil-A, who is closed on every single Sunday. We've talked about fast food on here, right? Like we're both,
We love
McDonald's, you're listening, snack wraps, we want it. We have to just drop that whenever we have the chance. Um, I am from born in Atlanta. I love Chick-fil-A, probably way too much. Oh my gosh, way too much. We don't have enough Chick-fil-A's up here in New England. So that was the first thing I got when I landed in Charleston to see Madeline in real life. Full disclosure there. I also love Shake Shack. Like they're both to me, they're two different places. They're so fun. I love the funness of poking at, Chick-fil-A. There's a really good book actually, which I can add to our summer reading list. It's about the Chick-fil-A story and it talks a little bit more about like True It Kathy and the marketing behind it and just so many things. I have it on my in my bookshelf so I can pull it for the newsletter and for our list. But really good book anyway. But the thing about this is there was an employee who worked at Chick-fil-A, hourly team member, and she would post on social media her go-to orders when she was working, and I forget specifically what it's called, but the meal she would have during her shift. And she would share little tips and hacks and how to order this and this is a new menu item and all of these things. And Chick-fil-A is a company doesn't have a ton of new menu items, I think, in comparison to other fast food chains. It's something that's also talked about in that book, just kind of a big pillar of the brand. And they do definitely come out with like seasonal items and whatnot. But Chick-fil-A actually sent her a letter to stop posting. Now, keep in mind, she was going viral. Her videos were going viral. People love Chick-fil-A. Like I remember
Mhm.
during the pandemic and even I feel like now, like the drive-through at any Chick-fil-A is so long, like people are going, like and the fact that you have someone who works for your company, loves your company, is promoting it in a very positive way. It's getting so much organic reach and you're stopping her from publishing the content. Like it's just absolutely crazy. So the fact that and I actually it's so funny that I recognize because I saw her videos because, I love content like that. We love foodie content. I saw her posting. I saw her video explaining that Chick-fil-A told her she can't post any more videos. This was her last ever video. And then actually a couple weeks later, like really shortly after, I saw her on a Shake Shack ad. And I didn't when you, like, recognize someone and you're like, "I kinda
Mhm.
know them, but I don't know them?" And then when I saw this article come out, I was like, "This is so good." So again, obviously, these are two really, really large companies, but I think one thing to consider is okay, granted, you're not really going to know unless like the same situation happens, right? Like your big competitor has someone posting about them and they don't like it, which is crazy, but clearly it happens and you can snag them up. But I think this is also a good reminder that one thing that's free and really easy for us to have in our tool belts as social media managers and even small business owners on social media is social listening. Like,
Mhm.
just listen. listen, read, consume everything that your people are posting on social media. See what your competitors are doing. See if they're replying to people in their comments. See if they're answering questions. See if they're putting out content around something that you sell. I There's so many examples I could give for that, but anyway, I just want to share this story. I thought it was so fascinating and wild that it happened, but I think just a great learning curve to, yeah, just listen. Listen to what's happening on social media, and people will tell you what they want. There's power in the comments.
So I have a confession. So
Yeah.
every time I go through Chick-fil-A's drive-through, I pull up TikTok because I
Mm,
remember them I the salad, like, like, I would pull up her
mhm.
videos, like,
Yeah,
literally. Like, so
yeah.
every time and I feel like that goes to show, like, with restaurants, normally, like, oh, you go to Instagram to see, like
Mhm,
that I feel like this is social listening in general, so Chick-fil-A, if you're listening, just know, like, wow, like, yeah, like, you do have a strong presence on TikTok because so I always find that funny how these big corporations where it's like, "Oh, no." Like, she was not harming honestly, like, that was free. Literally, she was
mhm,
doing so much marketing you for you for free. She
mhm.
should have been charging you. But
Yep,
anyways,
yep.
so good
100.
for her. You know what? We love that. We love that.
Mhm.
That so yeah, that's my little I love thank you for sharing. Like I had not seen this.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I love
yeah.
that.
Happy to share. So what's on your
Okay.
feed, Madeline?
Yes. Well, this one is you've probably seen but I'm like if you guys have listened again where it's like Instagram stories, I just love them. I love making them branded, aesthetically pleasing, fun, engaging, whatever. Anyways, Instagram has officially launched some new Instagram stickers for stories, and I'm not mad about them. Like, again, some of them are features that
Mhm,
were all like for why, but these ones are gonna be are fun. So the first new sticker is add your music. So kind of like you've seen, the add yours and insert whatever like things you've seen, like add you and
mhm,
your spouse like on your first date. Like I'm just trying to think of some of the ones that I've
mhm.
seen.
Yeah.
But this one, some ideas that I've thought of that it could be fun where again, tap into Spotify marketing where maybe you add your for people to add one song that's on your the ultimate summer playlist, like one bop for your ultimate summer playlist.
Mhm,
Or just different things like that. Obviously, I'm the beauty editor here where it's like the one song you want to listen to in the salon, so on and
mhm.
so forth.
Yep.
But that could be fun. Then the second thing is frames, and this we saw this from Coachella, and I had a feeling when I saw this feature, I was like, "This is staying. This is
Mhm.
staying
Yep.
because it's fun." So if you guys haven't seen it, where it's seriously like a Polaroid camera where you have to shake your phone. So again, I just love that's why I love stories so much. It's like because you actually like you maybe your engagement in your feed is garbage right now, but like your stories, like yeah, stories is where people are. So that's why I always emphasize to clients too, like that is why you need to have a story strategy as well as a feed strategy, which again, kind of back to the hashtag manage. That's also why I love starting from scratch too, where it's like more to play with. But
Mhm. Yeah. Oh,
that
yeah.
one's fun. Then, ooh, this one, I love this one, is reveal. So
Mhm,
now it's like it looks like the question stick. It's not the question sticker, but kind of where um I'm looking at the example right now and I'll obviously link it, but it was like new whip, who dis? And
mhm,
it reveals this girl like on a skateboard, okay? But like other fun ways you could use this is like promos, a new service that you're launching, a new product that's coming. Like, oh my goodness, like especially a product. And because you could even do it like leading up to that, like where it's like you don't have to necessarily showcase the product right away, but give them little snippets.
Mhm.
I feel like I've seen this on a few beauty accounts where it's like they blur it like it's censored and like
Mhm.
slowly start to unblur it. So like that
Yeah.
could be another thing.
Yeah.
And then the last one is cutouts. However, cutouts have been around, but I just love how I feel like, and tell me if you agree, Jessica, where, because again, I'm assuming you've seen this on your feed, like you've seen these
Mhm.
new features, right?
Yeah.
But with Instagram, features will get rolled out slowly. And
Mhm.
what's funny to me is I feel like, so for instance, cutouts has been like I've had this feature for a while now. I feel like a lot of accounts have. But
Yeah.
the things like reveal and the share your music, those are two brand new things. And I think it's funny because all of a sudden it's like Instagram wants everybody to use them. Everybody. So
Mhm.
it's like you get that feature, you get that feature, you get it. Instead of
Mhm.
us being like, "Oh, when can I get it?" Like,
Right. Yeah.
so with cutouts, so one way I'm telling clients to use it is to, like, your branding colors, like, make a cutout of that so it's easier to,
Mhm. Yeah.
grab that, whatever.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you have anything you wanna add to those, though?
No, I love how I think there's so many good ideas in here on how they can be used. I know a couple of them again, like I've seen them randomly pop up like on our Instagram accounts, on a couple of our client ones, and so I think they're just fun. I think they make sense too. I think the reveal is my favorite one, especially like with I feel like right now we're in a season where like all of our clients are launching something new, or whether it's like a product, a service, a collaboration, something. So I think there's a really fun way that we can kind of incorporate that with kind of what they're doing. I think cutouts is cool too because that's definitely something you can do like in Canva. It's something you can do like I think it's with the new iOS update, or maybe it's been a
Yeah,
few iOS
yeah.
updates since then, but you can do it like directly in your photos, which is cool. Um, I I definitely don't like do that. I will say I do the cutout in my photos very randomly if I'm like packing for a trip or like planning out like outfits. Like I'll cut it out and put it in my notes app, and then I'll look
Yes.
at it like once and I'll never look at it again. And anyway, but I like that Instagram is integrating it into the platform. Yeah, I don't know. I get like optimistic with Instagram that it's like, okay, we're turning a new leaf. We're gonna have a great platform that we all want to be on 24/7 again and get there. But I don't know. We'll get there. But I think these are so fun. So I love that you brought them up on this, and we'll definitely kind of share that link. Like creators did like a good how to on like how to go through every single one and use them. So, yeah, you guys listening can use them on your Instagram stories for your clients and can implement them.
Okay, wait, I have one random question. This will be our little, maybe this should be a new series, not really, but if you could have one Instagram feature, like, you gotta pick one Instagram feature,
Mhm.
what would it be?
Like
Like,
for the
you go
whole
yes,
like whole
like,
platform?
whole platform, you what yeah, one feature for
Okay.
Instagram.
Can I give
Me
2?
like, they yes,
Can I
because
be
they
annoying and
come
give 2?
no, you can because like, pretend they're coming to you. They're finally coming to the social media managers to be like, "What do we need?"
Okay, so my first one, and again, it's so nostalgic for me, but like one, we need to edit profiles. I want to get us to MySpace days. Let me edit the profile. Like, okay, I can put a song on my story or on my reel, like, okay, I really don't need a song on the profile, that would be cool, but let me edit the profile to
Yep.
make it, like, more on brand. I just feel like it would be so fun. There has to be a way that they could work that out. The second, and I don't know why this popped in my head as this one popped in first, actually, but I'm saying it second, and that makes no sense. But right now, we're like in a season with our clients where we're doing so much with content creators and influencers at the moment. like more than we ever have, which is really exciting. And one thing that I think would be so cool, I don't even know what you would call this or how you would roll it out, but like it's kind of like a step up from the collaboration feature on Instagram, but like I think it would be so cool if you could like nominate or dedicate another creator to like post on your feed. Obviously, you can like approve it, but like so you could have like people could it would become more of a, what would you call it? Like a, not like a forum, but you know what I
Like a
mean? Like people could add on to it. Like they could add things. I don't
like,
I
it's, like, kinda like TikTok where it's like you would add to like, would the creator make one it's not like stitching, right?
No,
Like,
not yeah, no, not like stitching or that, but, like, they could actually make a post, like, on your feed, like,
like,
adding
on your behalf like, where it's like maybe it would be like a review. I don't know if
right.
it's review,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it could be, like, a review, like, anything, like, them with the product, them in the salon, like, I don't know, anything that I
ooh,
think would be so fun, and it's almost like a UGC tab. Like, yeah,
yeah.
anyway, Adam Asori is probably listening and like, "This is gold," but you heard it. But I just think it would be such a fun way that like, I mean, think about how, like, it would be super interactive, like, people
Yeah,
could post, like and it could work in so many different, like, businesses, but then also, like, I mean, it helps you with your content, like, and it kind of, like, cuts out the whole, like, middle process of getting UGC content and influencers and reviews, and I don't know. It just kind of, like there's probably a better word for it, but I can't think of it in this very moment, but I hope you guys can see what I'm envisioning.
visual. No, I
With
like that.
so okay, those are my 2. I know you said 1, but what's yours?
Yours just make mine sound so, like, so lame. Like, those were so good.
Oh my god.
Um, honestly, I'm just asking to be able to automatically publish a story with said stickers.
Wait, no, that's so good.
That's all I want.
No,
That's
but
all
that's
I
so
d
good, yeah.
but I'm just like, "Can God" like, cause do you know how many times clients are like, "Yeah, you can just" again, the clients who I love you them all in the past, but they'd be like, "Yeah, you can just auto-publish that." Like, them
Mhm,
trying to, like, be like, "Your job's so easy, I can even do it," and then me being like, "Yeah, but I can't add the whole like, the link that you want to go there, or I have to manually add that every time,
mhm.
every time."
Yeah, okay. No, I honestly think you won. Like, that please, that would make
Okay,
our
so
life
we have 3.
so
So
much
you know what? If we get our genie in a bottle,
mhm,
boom, we have
there
our
we go.
3 wishes.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. So good. Okay, I think that's a good segue into our topic for today, which I mean, how many times do we realistically segue before we get to the topic? But
Right,
it's
right.
fine. Everyone is fine with that. But okay, so we talked about rebranding Instagram and what we would do for our updates for the platform. But we want to talk about rebranding when it comes to a business, an Instagram account. I mean, there's so many avenues we could take this, so we'll talk about a lot. Obviously, we had a little mini rebrand, if you will. We have hello new cover art, which, by the way, shout out again to our photographer in Charleston. She absolutely killed it, um, and just brought like our Pinterest board to life. So we had so many options.
And
Anyway,
shout out to you guys who because guess what? We posted the options and you are helping us
hmm
like what you see today on the podcast is what you also voted for.
right.
So,
Right. It was a collective in picking out the cover art. And so, yeah, thank you guys so much for engaging with that and having a say. And I know it was hard. It was hard to choose a favorite. Like, I mean,
like
when I was looking at them, I'm like, "Oh, they're all so good." They all give off like such great vibes too, like in terms of the podcast. So anyway, we're super happy about that. And yeah, I think when it comes to like rebranding, I know Madeline talked about hers, like we've rebranded Social Savvy a couple of times. I think also too we'll share the real reason why we picked this as a episode for the podcast is so many brands that we know and love and follow rebrand, and sometimes we're like, "Love it," and sometimes we're like, "Whoa, who thought this was a great idea? Like, who signed off that final approval?" And you already know that that agency who pitched that rebrand collected a bag and a half on
Mhm.
the rebrand too, but yeah, I'll have to say, I think when was the last time Social Savvy rebranded? I think it was I feel like was it 2022? Was it last year? I don't know. Harmony will
No,
listen to
I
this.
feel like
Like,
2022 sounds right, if I'm
okay, that's
remembering
what I'm
it.
thinking. I honestly I think it's fall, like fall Q maybe Q4 of 2022, sounds right, that we rebranded, and we worked with a brand designer to, because again, I had a couple of iterations of Social Savvy since 2018, RIP to all of those, but I needed an expert, and I think as someone who is always preaching to clients to hire an expert, I had to do it, and honestly, one of the best investments. I think maybe I shared that on our In Real Life podcast that,
Mhm. Yeah.
investing in the rebrand was so good. It brought my idea to life, and yeah, now we have a beautiful brand kit, and I don't have to ever stress about the brand ever again. That's kind of like my approach until I get like a wild idea and I want to chase after it, but no, it's fine. Um, but yeah, it's one of those things. But Madeline, I know you talked about your rebrand and how you had that like pivot, and that was last year, like
That was
2023.
last year, yeah.
Yeah.
And because I love branding, and what's funny is so many people have been like, "Oh," here's the thing, I've contemplated adding branding services to my repertoire, is that even the right word? But, like, here's the thing, like, because again, with my graphic design background from Adidas too, where I think it's always been my secret sauce, if we're gonna say, because, like, I definitely can I love when a brand like, when I get a new client and they come to me with their branding package, I can paint them the picture, but a lot of the times, they're like, "Yeah, I made it in Canva," and I'm like, "No, no, why'd you do that? Because that's not, like, legitimate." Like, it and here's the thing, I have experience with Adobe, and it took me the longest time like Canva, I use Canva myself, like, Canva is amazing, like,
Mhm.
yes, but to create your logo, no.
Right.
No,
I
and
agree with you.
here
Yep.
because your like, true branding is A, what will separate you from your competition, because guess what? That like, when you hire somebody who specializes in branding, they are going to do color psychology, like, they're gonna have you fill out this form too and, like, really get down to it, and the best example I can think of is, again, before in our pre-meeting meeting, I was I have this new client and it's a salon, and so I was painting a picture for Harmony and Jessica, and I was like, so the words that are coming up a lot are like holistic, wellness, and I was like, so what do you think? And they both were like green, beige, earthy, I
Mhm.
feel like,
Yeah.
and again, where it's like when I showed them, they're like, "Oh," and that to me just again, where there's nothing wrong with it. Again,
Mhm.
they've come to the right person, I'd like to believe, like, they've
Mhm.
come to the right person, and I'm so excited to share, like, what I envision, but the hard, tricky part with that is when there's so many things I wanna say here, because let me circle back to what I was originally saying about, like, why you should hire the branding person. The branding person not only is going to help you come do, like, the color psychology, really get to know your brand, your target market, all of that stuff, they're also going to help you come up with a primary logo, a secondary logo, majority of the time. Again, like, I'm not gonna like, again, different branding specialists, whatever, have different types of packages as well. But oftentimes you'll get your primary, secondary, and then you'll get, like, um I don't know, is it like icons, like branding, um, sounds like textures and
Mhm.
patterns and just like
Yep.
different assets. Maybe assets is the word that you're not only going to be able to use on your socials, but your website, your email. So that's something I have found, and Jessica, you can tell me too. I know that you guys are way like I feel how do I want to say this? I needed to take a book from Jessica's playbook and be more stern with my management clients because like you guys require the pictures and all this stuff and oftentimes I do too, but I think you've told me in the past where it's like no, like you require like quarterly photo shoots where I'm just like you definitely need them, but I've never been
Mhm.
like but now I really need to start that. I need to be like, "No, absolutely." Like, because like, guess what? How can I create your content if you're not
Yeah.
going to? And oftentimes, it's because they're on the cheaper side and they're like, "Well, we'll just u" like, again, I'm with salon, so they'll be like, "Well, we're just going to use, like, the hair pictures." I'm like, "You're
Mhm.
missing the point. You're missing the point. Like, your
Yeah.
salon page is not your stylist's portfolio." But anyways, that's for another day, another time.
Yeah, but no,
It
I yeah, and I have to be really strict because to Madeline's point, then you just don't get it, and so I'm also super strict about the brand.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah, that has to be done, has to be locked in, and I don't know a better word for this, but when we onboard a new client, I really make like, I'm the brand's biggest advocate because
Mhm.
I am obviously going to be the one to, like, delegate to the team and, like, make sure that everything is seamless with that, but I'm also going to hold the client and their team and anyone else who may be creating within that scope, they need to stick to the brand, and I'm going to be like, "Hey, like, this needs to be on brand, this needs to be on brand." If we're dabbling in new territory with something that's never been created before, marketing collateral, email marketing, anything like that, advertisements, like, website, I will still advocate, and if we need to, like, discuss and mold and shape the brand in any way, that's fine, but we're gonna get guidelines, and then we're gonna stick to those guidelines. Because if we don't, it becomes a mess, and I'm someone who I need lines, and I like to be creative, I like to color, but I like to color within the lines. So, that's, like, the best way I can think of them.
Okay, I have a good question then. This
Ooh.
is coming from me. This is me, and I would have to if any of our listeners may also have this question. So, this is coming from
Mhm.
Madeline, your co-host. Hey Jessica, so what happens when you get a brand guide that does not match that brand? Where it's like, for instance, yourself, you're like, this company for sure needs a rebrand because there needs to be a come to Jesus moment here because it like from everything like it sounds
Mhm.
like they have their mission statement figured out and it's a great brand honestly,
Mhm.
but it's like they hired the young kid in the room to do can't like whip it together using Canva. Or that's a good example too where it's like
Yep.
so they have this logo that was created in Canva and it has Canva written all over it.
Mhm.
How do you go about telling that client you recommend a rebrand?
Mm.
Have you ever had to do that? Have you ever done that? Have you ever wow, see, this is my hotline, guys. This is my therapy
This is good,
session
yeah.
again,
Mhm.
where I'm like, this is I need justice advice right now because I'm like,
So yeah, okay, I recently did this, and I'm not gonna share too much about the client and the business, but I recently had a conversation with a client around this very thing because they had brand guidelines that were pieced together, and I say pieced together because I don't think any brand designer actually would build out this deck.
okay.
I think it's been pieced together, like, in Canva, they popped it into a PDF, and they're like, "Here's our brand guidelines," and it's again, so many different elements to a brand that Madeline mentioned, but it had, like, a very noticeable and kind of made me feel a little uneasy script font when I read it. Had a
Mm,
couple of icons and elements that didn't make sense to what the business was, and the color palette was Madeline, I can't even tell you how many colors were in the color palette, so that should just tell you alone how I, like, felt about it because there were so many things and it tried to seem like they wanted to be a brand for everyone, and we all know,
mm,
like, you market to everyone, you market to no one, and so I remember the conversation that I had with them. Of course, they have big goals, big business goals, I love that, I admire that in any business owner, have big ideas for social media in in their marketing, and they were very, um very grilling me in, like, our capabilities of being able to deliver XYZ results. And I feel like at Social Savvy, we're lucky enough to work with awesome clients, we get great results, and those results really depend on the collateral and what's given from clients. And I think that depends on what they give us content-wise, what they work with us to give us the budget to get the content, and all of those things. They have a great brand. Anyway, so I know that I can't deliver anything. I can't promise anything if we're working with this. So the conversation we had with it was is first, I think it's one thing that I think I'm good at with clients is I think I'm really good at asking questions.
mhm.
When it comes to clients, one thing that I am still trying to get better at is ask questions and don't assume. Because I think it's my personality to always assume because I know this about branding, they know this too. And they don't, and that's nothing wrong with them by any means, but they don't know what I'm thinking, so I can't assume that they know. And so I was asking them questions about how the brand came to be and who built it and all these. So anyway, it was a collection of social media managers, agencies, random people they've hired, random people on the team, to the husband, to so many different people that had too many cooks in the kitchen, to say the
Yep.
least. And the one thing that I talk about is I think, so many people care about, like, the end of the funnel, if you will, right? Like conversions and sales and clients and customers and all of that. Like, I care about the whole funnel, but I really care about the brand awareness part. And so I gave an example, and I don't know why this was the example I gave. It was the first thing that comes into my head. And honestly, when I think of a brand, like with great branding, this brand always comes to mind. And I don't know if this is just what it is, but I always think of Coca-Cola.
Oh,
Like, I
yeah. Oh,
always think
yeah.
of Coca-Cola,
Oh, yeah.
and the reason I think about it is because I think it's funny, unrelated but related. You think about different parts of the states and how some people call it pop
S
and
or s
cola and soda. Like, I'm from Georgia, where Coca-Cola is founded in Atlanta. To me, it's Coca-Cola. Like, soda is Coca-Cola, and I think that's just, again, why it always pops.
It's pop to me.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And so it's, like, ingrained in my head around that, and so I always think, like, you see a can of Coke, and I've traveled to, like, Europe and to Mexico, and a can of Coke, bottle of Coke looks the same everywhere, even if it's in a different language. Like, it
Mhm.
looks the complete same, and so that was the example that I shared with those instances. It's like, okay, they can be different iterations of the brand, but it's still the same brand. And again, that can be so deep. And so that's what I had to have that conversation with. And I told them point blank that they need a real brand or we are not the marketing agency for them. So I don't
Okay.
know where that is, again, why I'm being a little, like, secretive with it. I don't know where that is in the
No,
process
yeah.
for them becoming a client. I would love for them to honestly, just to create a brand for them to have a brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and, like, I recently so I love that. Thank you for sharing that advice. That was definitely good advice because I'm with you, like, I think I'm getting better at asking questions, so, like, again, this new program that I'm kind of help creating is, um she's one of my guinea pigs. I hate saying guinea pig. She's, like, one of my, like bees. We'll say bees.
Mhm. Ooh, I like
Right.
very on
She's
brand.
my one of my bumblebees, exactly. And that's why I love her too, because like I did add, like I was really proud, like the questionnaire that I put together. But I even told her, so I like added her to Slack, and I was like, I may be asking you a few questions here and there to just again, because like questions like you said, where because I have brought up the branding, and I was like, who made it? And she again, kind of like you said, it's been done over the years, like she doesn't really have much say to, like, it's gonna be tricky. Like my hope I think right now, because again, this is just strategy. I'm honestly just giving them the ideas, giving her like the tools and the outline to take forward, you know. My hope would be, you know, that she's able to take this to her boss, and the boss realizes like, oh, okay, yeah, again, kind of going, we need a better brand. Because to your point about Coca-Cola, another big thing that I feel like I emphasize with clients when it comes to branding is, if you were to think one color, like one brand that like they like you think their color instantly, who do you think of?
Like, I think of the brand and I think of
Like
their color.
their color, not necessarily their slogan, their color. For me, it's, unless you got one, I'll tell
I
you
do have
mine.
one, but, like, I don't know if
Say
I'm,
it.
like I don't like okay, I think of McDonald's and I think of a golden
The
yellow.
Golden Arch. Okay,
Yep.
yes, you have that, or Tiffany's is what I think, and I think it's because, again, where I have a lot of clients who are like, "We're luxury," and I'm like,
Mhm.
we need to dissect that a little bit,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
because
Yeah.
we need to just dissect luxury marketing. But
Mhm.
my point being is, I think I read a few months, maybe even last year, an article though about how more companies are looking into trademarking their colors. And I
Mm.
think that's genius. I think that is apt,
Yep.
because again, Tiffany's like, you can't, like, where it's like, I want that paper, I want that meal money. I want
Yep.
that meal money. Um, and so that's why I try and tell even the masters. Think of the masters. Like, it's so funny
Mhm.
because Brennan wants me to create this little logo for him and his friends. For why? Don't ask. Like, they
Are they
want this
becoming
look.
golf YouTubers?
Okay, so I've told them they should, because
Okay,
I
I've
think
told
they
Ryan and his friends, why are
can
you
we,
not
like, what, like,
you
I'm
wanna
like, you're
golf?
sleeping.
Create content. Yep. Okay. Yep,
Okay,
we're
so obviously we're gonna be those moms and wives who, like, we don't even have children yet, but we'll be like, here up. Like, again, I don't know how I feel about my children, unborn children, on socials yet. But
Mhm.
my point is, I will sell my husband out, like, for
Yeah, yeah.
sure. I'd be like,
Oh,
let's
yeah, yeah.
go.
We need to monetize
And
that for
same with
sure.
dogs. Same with like
Mhm.
dog content. Yeah, okay, anyways, but back to, so Brennan and his friends were like, "Can you make us like this?" Because they just wanna have it, like, to, like, wear to the race, to the Indy 500, and I was like, "Yeah," but
Yeah.
so he was, like, telling me what he wanted, and when I tell you, he described the Masters, I was like, "Babe, I can't rip off the Masters, like, colors." I was like, "I can give you I am like, I can kind of," but I was like, "You gotta pick what color, like, what color do you want me to, like, base it off of?" You know, like,
Mhm.
and so, anyways, where I was going with that is, again, with this client that I have though right now, I'm just like, ooh, if I could have one wish and have a magic wand, I would love to like rebrand their, like, just their colors in general. Like, I
Mhm.
don't mind their logo per se, but it's just like, again, with their colors, I'm like, nobody did color psychology here, like,
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, which is so important. And I think one last thing that I'll add to this, I think if you're thinking about like a rebrand or if you're in like conversations with your clients, because let's face it, as social media managers, we're going to be in those conversations with them because we're the ones creating, like we're bringing the
Mhm.
brand to life. And I think that's also why it's so important to have someone. Maybe it's my opinion. I want someone who's not me to tell me the guidelines to bring it to life. I can bring it to life. Like, I'll bring any brand to life. I don't care what a client brings to me. Just give me those guidelines and that. And so, yeah, stick to the guidelines. Color psychology, it's basics for a reason, I think is the last note to add.
And one my last note that I'll add, and this is just like a fun little networking hack, maybe start to network with some branding managers in your area, like your local area that you're able to like build a relationship with and
Mhm.
refer these clients who come to you who it's like I recommend, because
Yeah.
then you guys can work out a deal per se where it's like anytime they, because again, a lot of the times you, I think, and tell me if you agree with this, Jessica, but like a lot of times branding and like our paths cross, and branding, like the branding people, they do know they could make you graphics for Instagram. And
Mhm.
oftentimes, sometimes their packages do that, but it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily include the copy. It doesn't include the full on social media management. So if that is the case, and I have like recently, I just connected with a branding who she's amazing. I'm drawing a blank on her company name right now, but like literally like beautiful, and I want to work with them because it's
Mhm.
just stunning. But my
Yeah.
point being is like that is such a beautiful relationship to make. And honestly, how you could end up getting clients. I feel like oftentimes I see in the Facebook group, and I just feel like this is the number one question we get in the Facebook group is how do you
Yep.
get clients?
Yep.
And we've always said networking. And again, who says
Yeah.
you can't network with other people in the industry, like
Yeah.
in
Oh,
your
that's so
area?
yeah. That's so good. Yeah, just creating like a referral partner
Yeah.
system. It doesn't have to be complex. It's just a conversation you have with someone, send business their way, they'll send it your way, and you know, like win-win, I'm gonna get a client with a sweet brand.
Yeah, and, like, it's as easy as just getting coffee, like, and it's not one of those, "Can I pick your brain?" It's just like, "Hey, like, I love your work," and maybe it does
Yeah.
become a picking their brain. Because honestly, when I got coffee with her, we kind of were we just she was telling me some of her pain points, and I was able, because she's newer in her business, um and
Mhm.
yeah, like, who and it could just be a fun, like, you might meet your new, like, offline bestie that
Mhm.
like, you create with, that you have work dates with, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
agreed. Agreed, yeah, it's all a conversation. So, okay, speaking of that, we'd love to have a conversation with you guys. Let us know, what do you think of our rebrand? Any thoughts? Thanks for voting if you voted for this one that won. We really, really appreciate it. But yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts on everything that we discussed in this week's episode, which I know is a long one, so thanks for sticking to the very end. If you need any links or wanna know what the heck we talked about that's on our feed, subscribe to the social club so you can get that newsletter that Madeline works so hard on in your inbox every single week. And yeah, thanks so much for listening and subscribing and just being part of our community. Anything else you would like to add before we close, Madeline?
Nope, thank you, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you haven't already, hit that follow button, and if you really love us, be sure to subscribe wherever you are listening from.
And if you want to be one of our online besties, you can shoot us a DM over at #managed on Instagram and let us know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode. Or, you could also share all your deepest, darkest secrets. Kidding. But we mean it when we say you can shoot us a DM. We love building real, authentic relationships with you.